Alright guys, so we're going to be moving into talking about waves. There's a particular type of wave that's been big news lately. We've heard a lot about them. That wave is a tsunami. So tsunami is a massive wave, also known as a tidal wave, that originates from an undersea earthquake. So we've talked about how those plates are moving around underneath the ocean. When two of those plates scrape up against each other and make an earthquake, if it's a big enough earthquake, we'll get a tsunami. So a tsunami is a wave that's over 100 feet tall. As those tsunamis crash into shore, they hold a tremendous amount of destructive power. Essentially, all of the energy released in that earthquake is stored in the wave, and as it hits shore, it's released onto whatever's there. So recent tsunamis in Japan and Sumatra have had a huge loss of life as well as destruction of property. It's in the hundreds of thousands for the death toll, billions of dollars in terms of property damage. So these have really highlighted the need to come up with some way to protect a coastline from a tsunami. So that's what you're going to be working on. You're going to be working on the same thing that a lot of leading engineers are studying at the moment. And that's how to protect a coastline from a tsunami. The first thing you're going to want to do is see how these waves move. See the dynamics of the wave. See exactly what's happening as that wave moves through the water. So we've got a test tank. We're going to generate a miniature tsunami. So watch how this wave moves. We start off with a disturbance, our earthquake. That plate moving. We've got a disturbance. Creates a wave. If you watch, you'll see that as the wave approaches, water actually retreats down the shore. This is the first thing you'd see in the wake of an advancing tsunami, is that water would actually retreat up to half mile downshore, and then you'd see that wall of water coming along. So you can have variable levels. So what you'll be doing is looking at these wave dynamics. This is what you'll draw in the first box, is what you saw, how these waves move. I want you to think about this and think about a way that you could create a solution. A way you could prevent this tsunami from doing damage. The first thing you have to come up with is a proposal. In the real world, if you're an engineer, people don't just give you money and things to work with. You have to do something to show you deserve them. You have to come up with a plan. You have to be able to present that plan. So before you get anything to work with, you're going to have to come up with a plan. I want you to make a blueprint and explain the logic behind your design. Once you've done that, you'll submit it for approval, and then you'll get the opportunity to build it. After you've built it, you'll want to come to one of the tanks and test it. See how well your design works. We'll be using a sponge for our city. So that's based on how much water that sponge absorbs, we know how much of the wave hit the coast. That's going to tell us a lot. So your sponge is a city. You have to protect that sponge as best you possibly can using 1 plastic sheet, 4 wooden skewers, and 1.5 feet of duct tape. So you're going to test all that out. See how well it works. Make any changes you think would improve it. And at the end, we're going to have a competition. Right now, let's look at some of the most creative designs that we saw and see how they work. One of the big things to be watching for and thinking about are the pros and cons. So there's positives and negatives to every design. You want to think about these. So maybe you build a 300-foot high wall that's 50 feet thick. That would probably do a pretty good job of protecting from the tsunami wave. But how would it affect other things? So think about the material cost. It's going to be really, really expensive to build a wall that big. Also think about the effects on animals? What about all the marine animals that need to move from area to area to migrate, such as sea turtles that need to come from the water to the land to lay their eggs? So you want to think about those things. You want to think about people. People pay millions of dollars to have that beautiful ocean view. If you put a wall up in front of it, they're not going to be very happy. Also, there's people who depend on the ocean for their lifestyle. So, fishermen. If you put a wall up and the fishermen can't get out to the water to fish, you're putting them out of work. So you want to think about all these things. You want to make concessions. You want to analyze your design and see, maybe it does a really good job of protecting, but it would be expensive. You want to analyze all those positives and negatives. So let's look at some of those very original designs right now.